Good afternoon. Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. It is 1 minute after 1 o'clock on the East Coast. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Matthew Alvarez on this Friday, January 30th. Why don't we do this? We're going to go right to President Trump at the Oval Office. Of course, this aired a little bit ago within the specifics of the White House, but here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, here's the entire event where we see President Trump signing the executive orders and also taking questions from the press. Let's take a look.
You all set? So I have some incredible people, and this is a very exciting thing that we're doing, and it was fast. They've wanted to do it. I understand they've been here hundreds of times over the years trying to do it, and they're going to give you a little bit of history. Roger Penske, everybody knows, he's a legend in many different things, but certainly in racing. He's won the Indianapolis 500 20 times. On the 18th time, I said, he's been a friend of mine for a long time, but on the 18th time I said, I think I'm going to give him the Presidential Medal of Freedom because, you know, how do you do that? Japan, Germany, Roger, right? Everybody, they want to win the Indy 500. They spend billions of dollars getting a car, and this guy wins it like every year. He won it so many times that he ended up buying the track. So now he owns a track, he owns a race. It's pretty good. Now he's won it, though. He won it 2 times since he got it. And it's a total of 20. And didn't you win the Daytona 500?
Yes.
How many times?
4 times.
That's all? That's terrible. I can't believe it. Anyway, if you win it once, it's like great. The guy's amazing. He's a genius, and a real genius at cars and racing. And they are going to put up something that's really amazing. It's really having to do with our great 250th birthday, where we're having so many wonderful things. UFC is coming, as you know, in front of the White House with a building literally a stadium. We're going to have over 100,000 people. And this is going to have a lot of people. I won't even say how many people because I think it can set a record for racing. It's going to be very, very important. We're celebrating greatness with American motor racing. That's going to be the name of the event. It's going to take place on August 21st through the 23rd. And it's going to be so exciting, and I love the racing. I don't have a lot of time to watch it, but I love the racing. And just before we start, I will say numbers came out this morning. They're phenomenal for the country. So we announced yesterday that for the first time in, I think, 28 years, America made more steel than Japan. Can you believe it? Japan's a big steel country. America made more steel than Japan. The numbers are record-setting numbers. Every one of our numbers are doing. We've never had anything like it. We have over $18 trillion coming into our country. We're building thousands of plants and all sorts of businesses all over the United States. It's never been anything like it. $18 trillion investment. So we have over $18 trillion being invested in the United States of America. The record was $3 trillion 10 years ago, not by us, by another country. And we're going to do 18, and I think the 18 is going to go higher. We're just looking at 11 months. The 12th month hasn't come in yet, but it's going to bring us over 18, maybe even hit 20. So you have 18 to $20 trillion coming in, and we've never had anything like it. We have a record we just set, as you know. The S&P 500 just set a new record, 7,000. Nobody thought that was possible in this quick a time. They thought maybe at the end of 4 years or 5 years or 6 years. But we did it in the first year. And we had 48 stock market highs, Roger. So Roger's a big beneficiary because he has a lot of stock. But anybody that has stock, including people with 401ks. So the economy has never been like this. It was just announced that crime is at an all-time low. Best numbers on crime in the recorded history of our country, and the lowest numbers of murders in the history of our country that we have. Recorded history goes back 125 years. That's not bad. And a lot of that is because of the fact that we have a closed border. We've taken out thousands and thousands of criminals and murderers and drug dealers and everything else. And we've either brought them back to their country, or in some cases we have to put them in our jails because we don't want to have them come back. And so we don't want to just bring them back to their country and then they maybe come back. Despite our border, they're pretty sneaky, pretty smart. So we're doing things that nobody's ever seen before. The country is really in great shape. We have a large armada, flotilla, you can call it whatever you want, heading toward Iran right now, even larger than what we had in Venezuela. It's still in front of Venezuela. The Venezuelan situation, the leadership is doing a very good job. We're very happy, and we're getting along very, very well. And we're inviting countries of the world very shortly. They're going to be starting to take the oil. We're going to be heading that with the country, and it's worked out really well. We're now sending actually a larger number of ships to Iran, and hopefully we'll make a deal. If we do make a deal, that's good. If we don't make a deal, we'll see what happens. But this is going to be exciting. So I'm going to ask, and he really is a legend. He's a great man. I've known him for a tremendously long time. I refuse to say we were both young. Now we're both a little older. We refuse to say old, but we're a little older. But Roger Penske is the chairman, as you know, of Penske Corporation. He's got everything you can imagine, mostly, I think, to do with automotive. And I'd like to ask him to say a few words about the event, because this is going to be, they're putting everything behind it, and I think it's going to be really exciting. Roger, please.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. This is a really amazing time for us as a company to support the 250th anniversary for the country. And there's no better way for us to bring automotive and speed into the DC area and to have the opportunity to be able to compete here with our Indy cars. As you know, we own the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we're taking that history of over 100 years and the speed and what's taken place there with the different manufacturers and bringing it here to this race will be amazing. Certainly the Freedom 250, when you think about it, it's just a byproduct of what the President has done during this year. And this will be an event, obviously, in August, which will make a huge difference. And we're excited. Be areas for people to see. Most of the grounds will be free. So it's going to be an economic benefit to the area, to the city, and obviously with our Fox partner, Eric Shanks, will be our media partner. And believe me, what they did for us at Indy this past year, they're going to take that and put it on steroids, really, and take it to the next level. So thank you, Mr. President, for allowing us to come into your city.
That's so great, Roger.
Thank you.
Great man. Eric, I'd like to have you say a few words. He's done a fantastic job at Fox, and he's really excited about this, and I know they're going to lay it on the line. Eric, please.
Sure. Well, thank you, Mr. President, for having us here today. Big shout out to Secretary Duffy. This project was kind of on life support until you stepped in recently and got us here today. Secretary Burgum, your team has been absolutely incredible.
Explain how many times you came to Washington trying to do this.
I think Bud came here 81 times.
81 meetings I had in Capitol
Meeting
Hill.
with senators, meeting with people at the Capitol, and they all wanted it. Everybody wanted it, but they couldn't figure it out. It was crazy. 80 some odd times. That's pretty amazing. So go ahead, please.
Right. Well, it's a real honor to be a partner with Roger and IndyCar. And at Fox Sports, we do the biggest events in sports. This year we have the FIFA World Cup that we'll be celebrating here as well. And then dovetailing right after that, to be able to celebrate America's birthday on Fox is an absolutely incredible honor. And everyone at Fox Sports can't wait to see exactly how this is going to unfold and bring it to life. So, Mr. President, thank you again for signing this today.
And the big thing, it's August 21st through the 23rd, and I believe the race is on the 23rd, right?
Yes.
That's going to be incredible. They're going to have practice sessions. It's going to be just a very exciting period, I think, for Washington. If I could, I'd like to ask Sean Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation, who's terrific and doing a great job. Much more important than Sean is we have Rachel Campos Duffy here, and she's one of the greatest people I know and one of the greatest people on television, so most of you know her, but I don't think we'll have her speak about the race because she knows less about it than anybody up here. But she is fantastic. Sean, please.
So the president gave us all a directive, which I'm grateful for. We're going to celebrate America's 250th birthday, and he asked all of us to think outside the box. How do we make this historic and cool, and let's all do this together? And he loves the country, he loves the birthday, and so we at DOT were working on this concept. We didn't know at the same time Penske was working on the same project too. And so we've come together, and Doug has been a wonderful partner. But to think 190 miles an hour down Pennsylvania Avenue, this is going to be wild. The last time we had a race in the capital city, Bud, was when?
1801, Thomas Jefferson with the horse race.
A horse race in 1801, Mr. President. Now we're going to do a real race.
That's so great. That's such a great.
So listen, this doesn't happen. You know, we just don't come in and ask the president to sign. There's a lot of work that goes into this, as you can tell. Bud and my chief of staff Pete all had a lot of meetings on the Hill. We couldn't be more excited about this. Again, I want to repeat, this is free for the American people to come to your nation's capital and see a great road race. Freedom, America, speed, and road racing. It doesn't get more American than that, Mr. President. So thank you for signing this, and thanks for all of your support.
You are fantastic, and what a job you've done. They put it together very quickly. They've been coming here for years, and everybody wanted it. You know, every senator wants it, every Congress, everybody wants it, but they don't get things done.
Only Mr. President.
Trump gets things done. We didn't have 89 meetings. We had maybe a half a meeting. I think this is probably about a half a meeting. I'd like to thank Pete Meacham for the great job you've done representing us, and Luke Bunting. These are two young people that work with us, and they've really been fantastic. I'd like to ask Doug Burgum to say a few words. He's very much involved through his position of interior, because a lot of the space is interior. He sort of has, I think he's the largest landlord anywhere in the world by far. So Doug, could you say a few words, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President. This birthday that's coming up, the 250th anniversary of America, Freedom 250, is the most monumental birthday maybe of any country ever in the history of the world. And President Trump, with his directive to celebrate this thing, we've got what's more American than race car driving? What's more monumental than the Indy 500 as an icon of what's going on in our country? And so merging the history and the tradition of our capital, Washington, D.C., with the speed and the innovation that goes on in the IndyCar series is incredible. And it's a great metaphor, because the speeds we're talking about is the speed of President Trump. I want to reiterate, there weren't 81 meetings with the Trump administration. I think it was, they called President Trump, he got Sean and I going, and that was like from Saturday till now, we have a race.
1 week.
1 week we have a race, as opposed to like 4 months of talking. So I think there's also a metaphor here about President Trump, who's an incredible sportsman. He's an athlete himself, but he loves sports. And so whether it's soccer, UFC, the football draft, NFL football draft coming, IndyCar, and all the teams that he hosts here. I mean, to any American who loves sports, you ought to love this president, because he's bringing professional sports to our capital. And again, August 21st to 23rd, you talk about the economic impact. By the time all these reporters get done telling the story, there's not going to be a hotel room available in this city on that weekend, because everybody's going to want to be here. Right. People that maybe have wanted to see an IndyCar race their whole life are now going to have an opportunity to come to their capital, celebrate 250, and see an IndyCar race for free. And they're going to be able to see it on the National Mall. And wherever you put down your lawn chair and watch this race for free, you're going to be staring at the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and I'm sure there's going to be fireworks this weekend too. I'm sure of that. And if you need a permit, you can get one from Interior. So anyway, it's absolutely incredible. And congratulations to Sean, the Penske organization, Fox Sports, everybody for putting together. This is going to be a great celebration for America.
Thank you very much, and you're doing a fantastic job. Could I just ask Bud Danker, who's the president of Penske Corporation, to say a few words, please?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. You know, Eric Shanks and I from Fox had this dream, and just last July, and could it ever be possible to bring a race to our nation's capital to celebrate our country's history? And everybody said there's no way. It's impossible. How do you put a race on at 190 miles an hour in a city like Washington, D.C.? I came here, I walked this area for a while, I found a racetrack on the Capitol grounds, up against a lot of meetings, and couldn't get the kind of support we need. So within a week, Secretary Duffy and we put this together with the president, didn't we? and now we have a race here on our city property, on the national properties, that is going to celebrate America. The word free shouldn't be overridden, because we are going to have a free event here. People come out and celebrate our country's history. I also want to thank Mayor Bowser. She has been a great partner in this process as well too. So I know, Mr. President, she's a great supporter of what you've done here in the city as well too, and we thank her for this. But we're going to have an amazing event. We're going to make everybody in this country proud. We want everybody to come out for free and enjoy this and celebrate our country the way it should be here in the nation's capital. Thank you, Mr. President.
And I said, pick the best site. It's very important. Pick the best site. Don't go for second or third, because there are a lot of different routes. I said, pick, even if it's more difficult to get approved, pick the absolute best site. And they were actually looking at another site, and when I said that, they said, well, the best site is this site, the site we're doing. I said, let's take a look at it, and we think it's the best site too. It's actually better than the original site they were looking at. But if we're going to do it, we want to do it right. So this is going to be something in terms of the road width, the crowds, and everything else that we can all. The best site, one of the best sites I've ever seen, actually, and it'll be beautiful. So I'm going to sign this, and if you have any questions on this subject, that'd be great. We just named a new Fed chairman today. You know that? He's a central casting. He's like Roger Penske, central casting. You know him, Roger? Very good guy. Roger, no auto pen. I didn't use an auto pen. Here, Roger, take that.
I will.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's great.
Here you go, my man. I didn't want to sign each letter. You know, they sign each letter. They hand pens. I used to watch these presidents. One letter. You got to see what it looks like at the end. Never looks too good. Here, Rachel, take that. Thanks for your team.
Thank you.
Congratulations. This is really exciting.
Thank you.
You have any questions about
On your Fed chair nominee, since you just brought it up, did Kevin Warsh commit to you that he will push to cut interest rates if he is confirmed?
No, but we talk about it, and I've been following him, and I don't want to ask him that question. I think it's inappropriate, probably. It probably would be allowed, but I want to keep it nice and pure. But he certainly wants to cut rates. I've been watching him for a long time.
Did you have any concerns about his hawkish history of pushing for rate hikes?
He's going to want to do the same thing. I think that, yeah, I've had times when I think you've had to really have rate hikes too. But he's very smart, very good, strong, young, pretty young, and I think he's going to do a guy. I mean, he was the central casting guy that people wanted. Kevin was great. I tell you what, I met numerous people. Every one of them were fantastic, really fantastic. I wanted to keep Kevin here, and I thought that I called Kevin 1, Kevin 2, and we have. I said it's going to be a Kevin, but you know, Kevin really has been fantastic at the White House. You all know him. You know him very well, and so we have Kevin W.
Are you concerned, Mr. President, about the confirmation hearings? We've heard
No.
Senator Tillis.
No.
You think with the DOJ investigation?
This is in the whole country. I would say that this was the perfect candidate. This was not a surprise or anything. This was the man that's most qualified. Top student, best schools, everything was like perfect. The youngest person ever to serve on the Fed. Got the whole package. Looks don't mean anything, but he's got the look, right? Roger, looks don't mean anything, but if they have the look, it's okay. But he's got the whole package, and I think he's going to do a great job, and he loves the country.
Mr. President, why are you
Will you speak to Please, in the back, yes.
Are you giving Iran any kind of deadline to make a deal before potentially taking
Only
military
they
action?
know for sure.
Have you communicated that to them
Yeah,
directly?
I have.
Mr. President, do you have a timeline for when you're going to pull back potentially the federal presence there?
No, we'll see how it all works out. You know, they have to float someplace. They might as well float near Iran, but it's a rough situation going on. So I stopped 837 people, as you know, last week from being hung. They were going to hang 830. It was all set, and I mean, I'm looking at the people behind me. They're saying, "What kind of racing's a lot nicer than that?" Right? They were going to hang 837 people, and I told them, if you do it, you're going to pay a price like nobody's ever paid before. And they pulled back. I appreciated that. but a lot of people are being killed. So we'll see what happens. I can say this: they do want to make a deal.
Mr. President, about Virginia, actually, Virginia flipped the governorship, and now they're looking at 50 proposals to increase taxes. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's terrible. I think a lot of people will leave Virginia. I saw that. Look, Glenn was a friend of mine, Glenn Youngkin, and worked so hard on cutting taxes. This woman came in and in one swoop, she raised everything up higher than it ever was. I don't understand it. I mean, people voted for Democrat, but she came in and she raised, and I'll work with her like I work with everyone else, but she came into Virginia, raised everything to a point like taxes that nobody ever even heard of before. And I don't understand. How do people get elected with this kind of philosophy? This is only in the very modern age. You know, I grew up and I've always heard politicians will cut taxes, everybody screaming we're going to cut taxes. I cut taxes. I gave you the biggest tax cut in the history of our country in the great big beautiful bill. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. Interest deductions, Roger, when somebody buys a car, they can deduct the interest if they borrow money. That's the biggest thing in terms of the car business, right?
American-made ones.
Correct. So we have, you know, I give tax cuts and they give tax increases. I don't know how they get elected. They get elected because they cheat. You want to know the truth? If they didn't cheat, they'd have no chance. They have horrible policy. Transgender for everyone. They have the little thing about open borders so that the world's prison population and mental hospitals can be emptied into our country. It's just a crazy, men playing in women's sports. Roger, are you a fan of men playing in women's sports? Only as a bettor. If you'd like to bet. If you're not a big fan, I don't think so. I don't want to get him in trouble, but I think he joins in 99% of. They say it's an 80-20 issue. I think it's maybe 99. It's 99-1.
Mr. President, why are you suing your own administration and the IRS? Why are you suing?
Who are you with?
I'm with ABC News.
You're a loud person. Very loud. Let somebody else have a chance.
Can you answer the question? Why are you suing IRS?
ABC fake news. You're
suing.
Go ahead. I didn't call on you. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Right here. Yeah. Do you think the upcoming talks...
ABC, by the way, is truly one of the worst. Go ahead.
Do you think the upcoming talks between Russia and Ukraine stand a chance without U.S. envoy Witkoff and Jared Kushner there?
I think they stand a chance. We've been trying. I've ended 8 wars. All of them I thought were going to be maybe tougher than this one. But Zelensky and Putin hate each other, and it makes it very difficult. But I think we're getting very close to getting a settlement. Hundreds of thousands of people, mostly soldiers, have been killed. Last week they lost 29,000 people. Last month they lost 29,000 soldiers. Can you believe that, fellas? 29,000. You lose one race driver and it's a big deal. 29,000 soldiers in 1 month. 27,000 the month before. I think that we have a good chance of getting it settled. Yeah, ma'am, please.
Mr. President, on the Warsh nomination, what is your strategy for getting past the hold that Senator Tillis has on this process? He said he won't allow.
Well, that's that kind of thinking is why he's no longer a senator. He's going to be out of office. It's too bad. I always liked Senator Tillis actually, but he did some things that were not smart. And whatever. I mean, if he doesn't approve, we'll just have to wait till somebody comes in that will approve it, right? So that's it. But I saw that he wants to be an obstructionist, but we have a lot of obstructionists. I've had a lot, and we've created the best presidency maybe ever. Yeah.
A follow-up. If Iran doesn't make a deal, is your plan to replicate there what you just did in Venezuela?
I don't want to say that. I don't want to talk about anything having to do with what I'm doing militarily, but we have a tremendously powerful fleet there. We have the most powerful ships in the world. We have the most powerful military by far in the world. We showed that on numerous occasions. I mean, I rebuilt the military in my term. If I didn't I wouldn't, I think, be able to say that. But I rebuilt the military, the entire United States military in my first term. And now we're building it bigger, better, stronger than ever before. I'm adding to it. We're adding something called a battleship. You would find this interesting. You know the old-fashioned beautiful battleships? And we're adding up to 25 of them. Each battleship is 100 times more powerful than the battleships of the 1940s, those big, powerful ones with the guns, because of what the ships carry. But we're going to build 10, and then we'll see how we like them, and we're going to go and do another 15 after that. Could be up to 25 battleships. 100 times more powerful. Can you imagine that? And it's peace through strength. We don't want to use them, but if we have to use them, we will.
Mr. President, on the Fed, should the DOJ continue with its investigation into Jay Powell? That seems to be a sticking point for Senator Tillis.
Well, he's got a building that, I build buildings, and I build them under budget, ahead of schedule. I build them, but they're within reason always. And this is a small little complex that's costing billions of dollars, most expensive job per square foot ever built. And it's a little complex. It's a little Fed complex. I built the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue, and I built it for around $200 million, and it's bigger than that. They're spending many times that amount to do a renovation of a building. I've heard numbers as high as $4 billion. $4 billion to build a building. I could have renovated that building and fixed it up, made it beautiful for $25 million. They're going to spend close to $4 billion on it. So it's either gross incompetence or it's theft. Somebody's making money, because you can't spend. It's more per square, and you have half a building there. You have the structure, you have the exterior skin that they're not changing much. They're building a building, and they're spending almost, I'm hearing numbers of between $3 and $4 billion. It's the most expensive structure ever built per square foot. So he's either incompetent, or he or somebody is a crook, and we'll find out.
Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. On Minneapolis, Governor Tim Walz recently likened the conflict on the ground to Fort Sumter, sort of implying that this is the beginning of a civil war. Do you agree with that characterization? Do you feel like there's a civil war brewing?
The governor said that?
The governor did.
Well, does he know what Fort Sumter was, or do you think somebody wrote it out for him? No, this is, I was elected on law and order. I was elected on a strong border. We had a border that allowed 25 million people to come in. Many were murderers. They murdered people. We had 11,888 murderers. We had prisons, including Venezuela, but Venezuela opened its prisons. So did the Congo. The Congo in Africa opened its prisons. They dumped people into our country. Many countries did that. I would have done that if I were leading a country. I would have dumped the prisoners into our country. We had open borders. We had all these things. I was elected on law and order. I was elected on the economy. I was elected on a lot of reasons. Because when I took over, we inherited a mess. Prices were too high. Inflation was the highest it was in 48 years. I say ever, but the media always corrects me by saying it's only 48 years. I think 48 years almost sounds worse. But when I was elected to do a job. And one of the big things I was elected to do is law and order. We now have the lowest crime rate in the history of our country. We have the lowest murder rate in the history of our country. We have Washington, D.C., which was a dangerous place to walk, is now a totally safe city. You can walk with your husband or your wife. You can walk with your children right down the middle of the city. Nothing's going to happen. We did a great job. We had the National Guard. We have soldiers. We have people that nobody's going to mess with. And we've taken out. Remember, it's not just that. In Washington, we've removed over 2,000 criminals. And if you look at the numbers, a very small percentage of your population, 2%, 3% of your population causes 90% of the crime. So when you move it's amazing how that works. But the criminals go over and over and over again. So 2 to 3% of your population can cause over 90% of your crime. So it's not that complex. We moved 2,000 people out of Washington. We brought them back to their countries where they came from. They came through open borders by Sleepy Joe Biden. And I will tell you, Washington is safe. If you look at New Orleans, as you know, we went there about 4 weeks ago. I was with the mayor of New Orleans last night. He was at the premiere, and she was at the premiere. She was great. I believe she's a Democrat. She came over. She thanked me so much. She said crime is down more than 50% in just a few weeks. And you couldn't even walk down the street in New Orleans. It's so bad. And now they let us in there, and she is thanking me so much, so profusely. She was great last night. I'd do that if I were a Democrat. I'd say call Trump and let them do what they do. but we remove people, criminals, from the cities, and they become safe cities. If you look at Minnesota, Minneapolis, we have crime down there because we took out thousands of people, despite all the mess and everything else. But do these people really want to have rapists? Do they really want to have drug dealers and people from prisons and murderers? Do they really want to have them in the community? It's really insurrectionists and agitators, and they're paid. And you can tell a lot of reasons. Number one, they're professionals, with their mouth. But they're also, you look at the signs are all professionally made. They have signs that are gorgeous. In fact, I want to get the sign because I need a lot of signs for different things, and I want to find out whoever does their signs, they do a beautiful job. Everybody has this beautiful sign with brand new wood. It's like leather panels. They have a leather handle on the bottom. These are not people these are people that are handed signs, and we know pretty much, we're getting very close to it, but we know pretty much who's funding this stuff. These are paid insurrectionists, paid troublemakers. But I was elected by a landslide. I won every swing state. I won the popular vote by a lot. I won everything. And I was elected by a landslide on law and order and on strong borders. We had a border that was so bad, so open, where 25 million people came in over a period of 4 years, and now nobody comes in. Nobody even tries to come in. And I can only say, I think, we'll say it very plainly, elections have consequences. The people want law and order. And we have a silent majority. We have a silent majority of people. They don't go and riot and everything else, but they like what we're doing. They like having a safe city. I get calls every single day. Every person I see working in the White House, people I don't know, many people work here, and they say, "I'd like to thank you, sir. Why? You've made Washington so great. We walk to work." They walk to work. You people know it very well. You walk to work now. You used to take an Uber or a taxi or something, and you even felt like in danger there. Every person in this building, I mean, virtually every time I see somebody, they thank me. Because a year and a half ago, they lived in hell, and now they can walk to work, and they're totally safe. Nothing's going to happen. And if anything did happen, the person that did it would be living in hell for a long period of time. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
President Trump there signing some executive orders, including an IndyCar style of race that's going to happen right outside the White House. So on the North Lawn, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, right there on that roadway, it looks like there'll be some Indy cars passing by sometime this year. And then I believe it's June 14th on the South Lawn, the UFC's having a octagon put there, and there'll be a fight. So a lot of sports happening in Washington, D.C. outside of the professional teams that are already there. Pretty cool stuff to watch. And then you saw, of course, the president answer a number of questions from the press, calling the ABC News reporter, quote, loud, as she was, I guess, yelling at the president there, trying to get that question in. All right, we have a lot to get to here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Again, it's Friday, January 30th. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks again for live streaming in with us. And thanks again to our great sponsors, including All Family Pharmacy. This is the emergency kit that they have. They have a number of these kits, so let's talk about it. So there's a lot of flu cases still circulating this year. And this time of year is a good reminder to be prepared. And most people wait until they're already sick to think about medication. So by then, it can mean long waits, limited options, or not getting what you need in time. So All Family Pharmacy, they take a different approach with their medication emergency kits. With the flu still spreading, having the kit ready at home can make a real difference. The kit includes commonly used medications to help manage symptoms quickly, like Tamiflu or ibuprofen, nasal spray, and more. And what really sets All Family Pharmacy apart is their flexibility, because these kits right here aren't one size fits all. You can actually customize these kits and add medications you want to have available, including antibiotics or ivermectin, depending on your needs. They also offer sinus infection kits, travel emergency kits, and other options designed to help families stay ready instead of scrambling. So you see the information right there on your screen. All you have to do is go to allfamilypharmacy.com/emergency-kits and use that RSBN 20 promo code for that 20% off. Great stuff right here, especially obviously if you're not feeling so good. It's good to have this in your medicine cabinet, because at the end of the day, if there's a storm that hits like it just did in the Northeast, going out to a doctor's appointment, not usually going to be able to happen if you're buried in a foot and a half of snow out there. But anyway, being prepared, of course, the name of the game. Let's go to Kalshi.com/RSBN as well. You see some of the latest information right there on your screen. This is a live look at Kalshi.com/RSBN. So if you go to the QR code, or you go to the website, or you download the app, you have 3 ways of getting to this great sponsor right here and the great product that they have when it comes to betting or trading, but also checking out the polls of all sorts of polls that are out there, including the one that you see there on your screen. So this is interesting because it says 2026 Republican, what does it say there? I can't read it from this far away, for president. So I'm not going to guess at the word, but maybe I need to get some glasses. But anyway, Kalshi.com/RSBN, great sponsor here at Right Side. Again, all sorts of topics on there, from political to faith and weather and all sorts of topics. So great sponsor there on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's 1:37 Eastern Time. Again, thank you so much for joining us here on Right Side. Looking at a very frosty, snowy, cold Washington, D.C. Let's go from Washington, D.C., obviously near Maryland, Virginia, but let's move over just a bit west to West Virginia, where the West Virginia State Senator Chris Rose recently led the West Virginia Senate in passing a resolution remembering the late, great Charlie Kirk, of course, a fearless conservative warrior who ignited hearts for freedom, faith, and family. Let's take a look at that clip right now.
I'm very proud to be the one to get to speak upon this resolution because Charlie Kirk wasn't just another conservative political figure to me. He was a dear friend. And I got to know him many years ago when Turning Point was founded in 2012 during the peak of the Tea Party movement. And Charlie's mission was to make sure that civil debate and civil discourse was always maintained in this country despite disagreements. And he would go to the most controversial places to have that discussion. On our college campuses where there are various walks of life and very polarizing beliefs. But, he always challenged those beliefs and always had that open dialogue. He always had the things that proved me wrong, and he would have those passionate discussions, but always would show respect to those that he disagreed with. And that's what's wrong with this country is when we stop having that type of discussion. When those conversations stop, bad things happen. And on that day in September in Utah, we saw that happen. An unarmed Christian man who was just having civil debate and civil discourse, his life was taken away from him. His life was taken away from his wife and his 2 beautiful children. Charlie Kirk was more than just a conservative political figure. He was a Christian. He was a father. He was a husband. And he meant so much to the people of the American conservative movement. He's played a huge role in a lot of our lives, whether you realize it or not. From the way Gen Z is more conservative than generations in the past, he played a huge role in that. There is a great revival happening around this country when it comes to Christianity, and you could see that at his funeral in Arizona, what a great revival that was that night, that it was more about the Word of God than it was politics. And that's exactly ultimately what it's about, and that's what he was about. Changing this country back to its Christian foundings, back to our Heavenly Father. And what happened that day was a tragedy. And they tried to take his voice and our voice away from us. But they didn't plan on what happened next. It unleashed a turning point in this country with many new chapters formed. Many new courageous people willing to go to those college campuses and continue that civil debate and civil discourse despite knowing that risk of what happened to the great Charlie Kirk. And we must continue to carry on that mission despite that risk because we cannot be silenced. We cannot let tyranny silence us from having that civil debate and civil discourse. We must continue that mission. To honor his legacy, we must make sure that goes on, which is why here in a second, after I ask you for a moment of silence, on behalf of Miss Charlie Kirk, I will be asking for the yeas and nays. But I will want to say, I will finish with this before that. This should have never happened. We can never allow the political differences in this country to devolve to violence. Charlie believed that. I know each and every member of this body believes that. So please join me in a moment of silence for this great patriot And then I will, Mr. President, ask for the yeas and nays.
Members, please rise.
Quite the moment there. And joining us now is West Virginia State Senator Chris Rose. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on Right Side. Talk to us about what that was like at the West Virginia Senate just the other day.
Absolutely. An honor to be back on the program again. Very happy and honored to be able to do that resolution to honor my friend and the late, great Charlie Kirk. It's a very humbling experience for me and a somber moment in the state Senate. It's a little bit delayed due to us coming into session in January. So back when it happened, back in the fall, we didn't have the opportunity to do this resolution, but we had it drafted back then. And it had unanimous support from the Republicans and the Democrats in our bodies. It passed out unanimously. And we just wanted to show tribute to a great Christian American patriot who embodied what it meant to be an American, to be a Christian, a husband and a father, and and a conservative. And he was willing to have that civil debate and civil discourse. And he not only was willing to have it, he promoted it, he sought it, because he understood that we had to have those conversations in this country. And then when we stopped speaking and having that type of debate, bad things happen, like what happened to him that took his life from those that tried to silence us and silence him. But they unleashed a new American revolution out of that. What I like to call, as you saw in that video, it is America's turning point, because we have, the movement has grown since his passing. But it was just an honor of my lifetime to be able to do that for my friend, do that for Erica, and do that for all of those that knew how important Turning Point was and will always be in going forward to this country as far as the Christian and conservative movement.
If you're joining us right now, this is West Virginia State Senator Chris Rose, who led that moment of silence in the West Virginia State Senate. And just 16 hours ago, there must have been something in the air when it comes to just thinking about Charlie, because I remember posting just last night, just a photo of Charlie Kirk, and the American flag icon there. And, obviously a lot of people would like a post like that, but it's for the memory of Charlie, to not forget what he stood for and his legacy. And then that day, that memorial on September 21st, 2025 in Arizona, when the power of God was tangible. People can sense the Spirit of God in that place. It was pretty awesome. And it's great that you did that in West Virginia. And let's talk about that specifically. Let's look at what happened there. You said that Republicans and Democrats in West Virginia had no problem with you doing that, correct?
That's correct. It passed out of the Senate. Now, with the makeup of the Senate, West Virginia State Senate, to be fair, is 32 Republicans, 2 Democrats. But there was only one absent, but unanimously, no one voted no. The Democrats didn't oppose it. All the Republicans in lockstep as well, because here in West Virginia, we have what we call West Virginia values, and Charlie Kirk represented that. The values of faith, family, freedom, tradition, and Charlie Kirk represented that. He promoted that. Turning Point has done a good job of continuing to promote that. And here in I would say 99.99% of West Virginians, if this was on the ballot, would vote for this, because it just represents who we are as a state. And Charlie Kirk, it doesn't get more West Virginian than what Charlie Kirk stood for.
Amen. Amen. And what's interesting is we see your neighbor to the east, Virginia, and we see a lot of great patriots in that state, but then we see the leadership not on the side of freedom. Let's call it that way. I mean, there's a lot of names you can use there. Now, have you heard of anything with your colleagues in the state Senate in West Virginia that people are saying, I'm moving out of Virginia, or I'm moving out of Maryland, or I'm moving out of whatever, I'm going to West Virginia, let's go Mountaineers?
No, absolutely. And I was trying to hurry up and pull the bill number up. So if I misquote, I apologize. I believe it's Senate Bill 681. I'm actually the lead sponsor of, that we've been talking about after watching that election unfold in Virginia, and how Nova has been drowning out the rest of the voice of the native Virginians, where you have all these unelected bureaucrats that work in D.C., that live in Nova, who come from California, New York, or Illinois, and doesn't have Virginia's true values or Appalachian values. And this bill unofficially is being called an appeal to heaven, as a play on our founding fathers. But it's a bill we're going to run in the state Senate to give the opportunity for any county in Virginia that wants to vote to join West Virginia. We're going to give them the opportunity. And we're also inviting about 3 counties in Maryland. We're calling it the Appeal to Heaven movement. Some people in Virginia are calling it Vexit. but their freedom is being taken away from them. Their voice is being drowned out by the swamp. The swamp lives in Nova. They're drowning out the Native Virginians' vote, and then they're electing in these far left leaders, they'd rather be the governor or the attorney general, who actually talked about killing his opponents. And now the people in Virginia are seeking freedom. They're seeking leadership. They're not finding it in Richmond, but they're looking west to Charleston in West Virginia, wanting that lifeline. And they're very excited about it. And we got a couple of counties that are very eager to vote on this already. And we're going to give them the opportunity because we're willing to reach out with that appeal to heaven to our fellow Appalachians, to our fellow, at one point we were one state. So we like to call ourselves Best Virginia, but we're willing to reach out and bring our fellow Mountaineers home.
And for those that are watching across the country, Nova, of course, Northern Virginia. So when we say Nova, we're referring to Northern Virginia. And it's interesting. It's coast to coast that something like this is happening. And this is not really the direction of what I really wanted to talk about when it comes to Idaho as well, because on the West Coast, it looks like Oregon, Eastern Oregon, there's a movement there to break away from Oregon and be a part of Idaho. So we're seeing that from coast to coast. Senator Rose, why do you think that is?
I think ultimately it's because you have these big cities that don't represent the values of the rest of their state, and you have a landmass. I mean, I know population-wise they outvote them, but landmass of maybe a 10% of a state that's ruling the other 90% that doesn't share the same values, and they're taking away their freedoms, they're taking away their way of life, and their voice isn't being heard. And they're being extremely frustrated by that. So they want to be able to vote with their feet and move their county across state lines to a state that represents their values. And the Greater Idaho movement you're talking about actually have been looking at our legislation as model legislation, that if we pull it off here, and a couple of counties from Virginia or Maryland, we pulled this off, and this is going to go to the Supreme Court because Virginia has already said they will challenge this to the Supreme Court. So this Supreme Court, which I think is the most friendly of our lifetime, is the best of our lifetime, thanks to the leadership of President Trump and the great appointments he's made. But if this Supreme Court upholds this type of legislation, you not will only see that happen here with Virginia and Maryland. You're going to see that with parts of California, parts of Oregon, parts of Washington try to join Idaho. This theoretically could kick off a revolution of counties seeking freedom away from oppressive governments, to where we have these red states, we grow in electoral college votes, people get freedom. And if this happens, I mean, the Democrats, this is your wake-up call. You're not listening to your constituents. You're taking away their freedoms. You're taking away their God-given rights. And they're going to explore every legal avenue they have to get out from beneath that oppression, including moving across state lines.
And then you think about the Gadsden flag, don't tread on me, don't tread on us, right? I mean, that is at the basics of the foundation of our country, having freedom. And when you look at the different states that are out there, like Idaho, like West Virginia, you see people that understand that the majority of the country voted for President Trump for 3 straight elections. The majority of the country, and by numbers, are more than, that's why it says majority, are more than the Democrats that are out there that are voting. So we have the majority in this country. And, not the most eloquent way of saying it, but it's just what we've been dealing with and what we've been seeing every day. And the mainstream media acts like that there's a bazillion people that are anti the Constitution. Really, it's the deep state globalists, the media, and yes, there are people that are brainwashed out there, the woke mob, that are against what we're talking about here. Am I right? Or is it, I mean, there's really no middle line anymore. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
You're exactly right. We are the silent majority. We saw it with 2016 when the political elites, the deep state, the elitist career politicians, the political family dynasties, they all gave Donald J. Trump 0% chance of winning. He wasn't supposed to win. They had all their polling saying he couldn't win. They had all the political experts and all the big mega donors. Oh, he can't win. He can't win. Hillary's ordained. But what happened? The silent majority, the true blue collar, working every day, God fearing American came to the polls and said, you don't pick the president of the United States. We do. You don't get to tell us what we believe. We'll show you what we believe. And they voted for freedom. They voted for the party of Reagan. They voted for the party of Donald Trump. They voted for freedom, capitalism, God, family, country, and they're going to continue to do so. They're not going to let this oppression and the tyranny to take away their voice and their vote, and they're going to find that freedom however they can, whether it be through a movement like I'm talking about, or whether that's through flipping their state back from blue to red. And there's different ways we can go about it, but you are exactly right. Overall, if you look at how the 10 million votes from 2020 dropped away, it's kind of how funny all of a sudden Donald Trump won the popular vote, and he had and his vote didn't drop, his even increased. His votes increased every single time he's ran. And I'm telling you right now, if you ignore the mainstream media, you ignore the fake news and the woke mob, the majority of Americans, and in my case in point, if you remove Nova, the federal bureaucrats out of the equation, Donald Trump won the rest of Virginia by over 70% of the vote. So that's a case in point. That's a perfect case study that America truly is a God-fearing, conservative Christian nation.
Amen. And I wish that the mainstream media would someday see the light, but we'll see if that ever happens. West Virginia State Senator Chris Rose, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to having you on again. And tell everybody in West Virginia hello, and we love you guys.
Will do. They appreciate it. We love you guys. We love you guys too. Thank you very much.
All right. 152 Friday, January 30th. It's great to see people like, a state senator there, Chris Rose, just standing on the Constitution, right? And being that person that is in office. And West Virginia, man, that's pretty awesome to see what's happening there. And of course, that state, along with Oklahoma, are the only two states in the 2024 election that all voted red. Every county red for President Donald Trump, and also within that framework, voting for freedom, to his point, and truth and justice and all the things. So anyway, all right, it's 1:52 again, Eastern time, Friday, January 30th. We have a number of video elements to get to as we monitor the latest news of the day, including we're seeing a report that Catherine O'Hara, the actress, has died at the age of 71. She's best known for her role in Home Alone as Kevin's mom. So this is just coming down as they used to say, the wires. So this is something from TMZ that's being reported, and it's reported everywhere right now. So that's happening. We also saw that Don Lemon has been arrested by the DOJ for his involvement in what happened in Minnesota. And also we know that the president has named the federal chair as well for the Federal Reserve. So just a lot of stories that we're following right now here on Right Side. Why don't we do this? Why don't we go to a couple of our sponsors as we move on here on Right Side? Let's go to All Family Pharmacy. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN is the place to go. Or if you want to, in this case, go to allfamilypharmacy.com/emergency kits, because there's a lot of information out there when it comes to all sorts of pharmacies. But this one here, an independent pharmacy, they give you things like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. Of course, you have to go through a process online, but not every doctor is just going to say, oh, sure, you could have some ivermectin. You know what I mean? So a lot of flu cases are circulating in 2026, and this time of year is a good reminder to be prepared. And unfortunately, a lot of people wait until they're already sick to think about medication. But with flu still spreading, having an emergency kit like this one right here that has commonly used medications in it, like Tamiflu or Tesla Pearls for cough, ibuprofen, nasal spray, and more, is what you need. Having something like this on hand, especially when it's, that winter weather that we have out there. Some people are saying, I'm not even going to go outside today because of how cold it is, or if you're buried in 1.5 feet of snow in some parts of the country. The kits aren't one size fits all, so you can customize your kit. They have sinus infection kits, travel emergency kits, and other options designed to help families stay ready instead of scrambling. So you can go to allfamilypharmacy.com/emergency-kits. Use that RSBN 20 code for that percentage off. Also, let's go to angelpace.com out of Spring, Texas. If you'd like to make a purchase for Valentine's Day or maybe a birthday or just a gift in general, go to angelpace.com, check it out, and use that RSBN promo code at checkout. You'll get the percentage off. Also, supporting a great conservative business that has great products right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Approaching the top of the hour, looking live there at the White House, the U.S. Capitol building. We usually have the White House picture there, but of course it's the U.S. Capitol, where next month on February 24th, the president will be delivering that State of the Union address. I know that's some time out yet, about 25 days or so. But let's go back to Washington, D.C. to check out some of the highlights from the red carpet last night for the First Lady Melania Trump's new film, Melania, which is out today, theaters nationwide. Let's go to clip 1.
Rid of the criminals. We have to take criminals out of our country. So from that standpoint, nothing's going to change. And we have to find out all of the fraud that's taken place in Minnesota. We have to get to it. They've stolen at least $19 billion, and we're going to find out who did it and where the money is.
Have you had any conversations with Iran in the last few days, and are you planning on any?
I have had, and I am planning on it, yeah. We have a lot of very big, very powerful ships sailing to Iran right now, and it would be great if we didn't have to use them. Okay?
Can you say what the message was that you shared with Iranians?
Well, I told them 2 things. Number 1, no nuclear, and number 2, stop killing protesters. They're killing them by the thousands. You know, I stopped 837 hangings 2 weeks ago, but they're going to have to do something. Nobody's seen anything like this.
What do you think about the UK getting into business with China? Keir Starmer was in Beijing.
Well, it's very dangerous for them to do that, and it's even more dangerous, I think, for Canada to get into business with China. Canada's not doing well. They're doing very poorly, and you can't look at China as the answer. I know China very well. I know President Xi's a friend of mine. I know him very well, but that's a big hurdle to go over when you get Canada. The first thing they're going to do is say you're not allowed to play ice hockey anymore. That's not good. Canada's not going to like that. Well, I am proud of her. I mean, she's done a great job. A thing like this is not easy. And, you know, she comes from a faraway country, a wonderful country, clean, beautiful, safe. They don't have problems like others have. But she comes from a country that's a very safe country, very good country in many ways. But it's different, and she's picked it up very easily. Speaks a lot of languages, very smart, understands what's happening, and really is a good influencer of me. Thank you.
What was it like having Nicki Minaj in the Oval Office?
Nicki Minaj is fantastic. She's a terrific person. She was so nice, and she understands, you know, what we're doing with the Trump accounts. We're helping children grow up. When they're 18 years old, they're going to have a lot of money. They're going to be rich. And she got it. But she's been a supporter from the beginning, and I think Nicki Minaj is a winner. She's fantastic.
Thank you. Good evening. This is a very special evening, an incredible, historic moment. It's an honor to be in Washington, D.C. among so many friends. A beautiful room filled with a great energy, intellect, and love. Connectivity through advanced technology is changing our world. We are closer than ever because we are connected. Over live stream, our friends are able to join us here in DC from satellite theaters across the nation. So here is a warm welcome to my guests in New York City. Hello, Boston, Philadelphia, Miami, Orlando, and everyone in Palm Beach. It's a pleasure to be with the great people of Texas, in Austin, Dallas, and Houston. To everyone joining us in the Motor City, Detroit. Hello, LA, OC, San Francisco, and San Diego. I'm sure everyone in Nashville is having a lovely time already. Welcome, Kansas City, Phoenix, Arizona, Denver, Salt Lake, and Chicago. Las Vegas. My film is about to begin. Hello, America. Stories endure. They make us more human. Stories embolden individuals, inspire legendary achievements, and build empires. They define who leads. It is, however, the untold story which carries the great significance. I authored the story you're about to experience with purpose, the charm of laughter, the tenderness of transparency, and determination to break new ground. Some have called this a documentary. It is not. My film is a very deliberate act of authorship, inviting you to witness events and emotions through a window of rich imagery. It is a created experience that offers perspectives, insights, and moments that only few have seen. Here, honor, pride, and truth are revealed, not through narration, but through genuine discovery. It is purposeful storytelling. You are part of this journey now. Our story will live on for generations, forever. Creating a film and launching a global marketing campaign is not easy feat. I'm fortunate to be surrounded by a visionary team. First, I would like to thank my husband, America's director, Donald Trump. Thank you for providing our family with a life filled with experiences that only one could imagine. To my son Baron, my sister Ines, my father Victor Knaus, and my mother, who is watching down from heaven, your love is the powerful force that propels me forward. Amazon's team has been inspired from day one, and they continue to work around the clock to bring Melania to families across the globe. I applaud your team's dedication to great filmmaking. Brett Ratner, my director, has used his superior talent to redefine the genre of the documentary. He shaped a film with courage and care, one which will continue with generations. You capture our history. Fernando Sulcin, my producer. This movie carries such intention and heart. Congratulations. Your work on Melania will continue to resonate beyond tonight. Mark Beckman. I remember the moment we shaped this groundbreaking idea. Over the years, our collaboration has produced a remarkable body of work, and this achievement stands as a defining milestone among them. And finally, to everyone else here and in theaters across the country on this historic evening, I cherish you. It's an honor to be together for the world premiere of Melania. Enjoy.
And today is the date for that movie to be seen by the country, specifically here in Alabama, looking up on the AMC theaters, and it definitely is there. It's January 30th, Melania. It's an hour and 44 minutes released today, and it's in nationwide theaters today. All right, so there you go. So that film out there for you to watch if you'd like. It's 2:05 Friday, January 30th. Let's go to a few of our great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, including mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, the mattress topper sale, mattress and topper sale that you see there. That is one of them. And then really, if you go to the site, there's a million sales on there, but they're all quality products. That's what's really cool about this whole thing. mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, Mike Lindell running for governor in Minnesota, and we know that that state needs a leader like Mike to help it out, to get the fraud out of there, to get illegal immigrants out of there and deported. And at the end of the day, what we're looking for is secure elections. So we can get a lot of those things done just in one state that really desperately needs it. We know that Mike Lindell would do a great job there. He also has this great company, mypillow.com/RSBN. Speaking of RSBN, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801 or go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. You get a chance there to donate to Right Side, whether it's $1, $5, $100, whatever you can do. If you can't do it, we get it, all good. However, it's always good to bring into the support here at the network just so we can grow and expand at Right Side. It's 2:07 Friday, January 30th. Again, thank you for joining us. We have a number of live video elements or video elements to get to. Let's go right now to a recent interview with attorney and author Virginia Prodan, conducted by RSBN host Robert McNeely.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's international human rights attorney and author Virginia Prodan. And you've written a memoir, Saving My Assassin. Can you dive into this? Because you know very closely what Christian persecution looks like, especially in your native Romania.
Yes, I grew up in communist Romania, and as a lawyer, I defended human rights and religious rights. I was arrested, tortured, placed under house arrest, and the dictator sent a client to my office who put a gun in my face and said, "I'm not here to be your client, I'm here to kill you." And that's the reason why my memoir, published by Tyndale House publisher, it's called Saving My Assassin. By the grace of God, I shared the gospel with him and he accepted Christ. But that's what God can do in one person, and God used me to change Romania from a communist country to a democratic country. And that's why here in America, I am speaking, I am writing, I have a podcast, I go to interviews like you have me on your program to tell the American people that yes, persecution, it's real, but God's power, even in one little person under 5 feet tall, I was 82 pounds in Romania, can perform miracles. And I encourage Americans to trust God, to accept the mission that God is giving them, and to see miracles. God can use you and me here in America to change America back to America.
Such a hopeful message. Virginia, can you walk us through how you did just that, to save your assassin, to share the gospel? Was it a mix of personal forgiveness and perhaps even fighting at a policy level? And like you said, speaking up on behalf of those who are persecuted?
I grew up in communist Romania, and I watched my parents being very politically correct. And it's sad that today in America, I don't have to explain anymore what politically correct means. They will give their rights and they will submit to the socialist communist government in Romania. But I also watched them inside of the home whispering how horrible the government was. And as a young kid, I realized I am nobody's person. My parents are too fearful to protect me. The government doesn't consider me a person. And I didn't want to live this kind of life. I was petrified, but also didn't want to live this kind of life. By the grace of God, I have a small family, but we have a custom. We had family reunion every single year. And as a young person, I noticed that my relatives will group around 3 people. And I started to look and see why they do that. And all those 3, they were lawyers. And I realized they knew the law, but they were fearful. So in my mind, I said, I'm going to go to law school and learn everything from the book, and I'm going to speak up. Later on, I realized it was God's way and putting in my heart the desire to go to law school. So I went to law school. I graduated in a top 10% of my class because I wanted to read and learn the law and everything. And after I graduated from law school, and by the way, I don't have the time, but people can go and read my memoir, Saving My Assassin. You can find it at virginiaprodanbooks.com. And you have to realize that under communist, socialists and communists, you do not decide your profession. The government is the one who decides your profession. And even when you finish law school, the government decided where to send me. Let me explain it to you. I didn't know at that time, and God knew that I didn't have to know. But when I applied for law school in Romania, the government looked into my file because they have a file in communist Romania. Government had a file from the time that you were born to the time that you were dead. And they were looking for 3 things. One, if my parents ever organized a revolt against the communist government. The second one, if my parents were ever reported by their kids, that if they said something negative about the communists. And the third one, if my parents were Christians. I didn't have parents Christian, so I passed the test. I went to law school, I learned it very well, and I started to work. And one day I came, after maybe a year working as a lawyer or more, I came to my law office and I put my brief on my assistant desk, and I said, as I put my briefcase there, I don't think that I want to be a lawyer anymore. I can't find the truth. And she looked up at me like, what are you dreaming about? And where are you? And she gave me 3 files and said, there are 3 clients coming to see you today, and one it's in your office. I took the file thinking, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore, but it was painful because that was my dream. And as I walked inside, I noticed the client there. I have been working with him for more than a year. And as I walked there, I remember many times thinking, this man, it's crazy, because he had joy in a joyless land, peace in a peaceless land, and confidence. And many times I would say to myself, this man is crazy, I need to fix him. But I never had the time because I had clients after clients. But this day, with everything that was inside of me, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. Looking at him and his face, full of joy and confidence, I heard myself saying, I want to have in my life what you have in your life. He looked up at me and said, do you go to church? And I stared at him thinking, I knew you are crazy. I don't know why I asked you this question. But he was writing something to me on a piece of paper and gave it to me and said, this is the address to our church. Would you come to our church?
Well, I can hear the conviction in your voice, and thank you for sharing that personal story, because it's so much of an invitation, is it not, for finding the Lord sometimes and the way he works through other people and finding that immense joy in an otherwise very difficult situation, especially within an oppressive setting with the former government of Romania that you lived yourself. And you're writing commentary on all this on a regular basis, including recently in November of last year that you escaped communist Romania. Do not let Mamdani turn New York City into a police state. Can you elaborate on what you experienced and how the Democrat Socialist movement in America might replicate that of Eastern Europe or even the things we've seen in Venezuela recently?
Yes, exactly. He is playing the whole things according to the communist rules. He is lying to people that he will bring things free. That's what communists said. He will bring heaven to earth, and in fact will bring hell, will bring the situation where the government will be in charge of everything and you are a puppet in their hands, that they will have control over food. They will administrate food wherever they want it. They will say to you, yes, we'll give you these things and everything, but everything will be attached to something. You will have to spy on your friends or your family. You will have to be a spy you will look in the mirror and you will not recognize yourself. It's a lie. It did not work. It does not work. But until people realize that lie, the Mamdani or whatever other person will lie to American people, they will believe that dream. It's unfortunately that many Americans have experience and have history at their side that they can look, but they don't want to look because they don't want to take responsibility anymore. Many of them, they want to replace as those Mamdani and others. They will replace God who provides everything for us with the government. No, the government cannot provide anything. The government will put you in jail. The government will ask you to repeat lies after lies and spy on your own people or even betray your own people and your own family. It's a very dangerous thing that it's happening, and we have to stand up and speak the truth in love. Peter told people and told them, listen to me. You have power when the Holy Spirit comes over you. I receive power, and everything that you are seeing in my life in Romania and here by the Holy Spirit. Don't rely on yourself. Trust God, and He will do amazing things. And we have to stand up against socialists in America, no question about it.
Oh, and absolutely, given the history back to Soviet Russia and now with the Chinese Communist Party, the large threats that threaten mankind and the entire world as we know it. But you're taking all your skills and talents, Virginia, over to the NRB's International Christian Media Convention that's coming up February 17th through the 20th in Great Nashville, Tennessee. Tell us about it, some of your goals of the conference and what people can find there if they choose to go.
Yes, first of all, it's an honor and a privilege. I have been with NRB for several years. I am on the President Council, and I am honored to be speaking with a group of people there about freedom and what freedom is all about. It's a great opportunity to be with freedom fighters, not only from America, but all over the world. Troy Miller is absolutely a great leader who transformed this NRB from the time that he took charge as a president, and is doing absolutely amazing things. Anytime I go there, and I have been there for several years, it's always like, oh, this is the best year. This is the best year. And I cannot imagine. I know it's going to be the best year this. So it's in Nashville, November 17 to 21st. Has great opportunities for everyone. They can still register. They can still find the at nrb.org. They can find the schedule and everything. And again, I say I'm honored and privileged to speak and to be in contact with a lot of radio, television, speaker, authors, and freedom fighters, that we can put our voice together. I'm just a piece in the puzzle, and everyone that listens to you can be a piece in this puzzle, that we can create the wonderful picture of Jesus Christ, who is saying to each one of us, repent, turn from your wicked way, and I will heal you and heal the land. And that's what Christ wants to do. And for America, and NRB is focused on that, and I'm grateful to be part of such an amazing organization. I'm also part of Alliance Defender Freedom. It's a group of lawyers that take cases and protect freedom of religion. Many times I said I was a troublemaker in Romania. I am a troublemaker here for Christ, and a person who wants to encourage everyone. You said I use my skills. God gave each one of us skills. You might have the skill with computer. You might have the skill with radio or any other skills. Every skill is important. Just because I speak here and I speak with you, it doesn't mean that we have the best skills. We have the skills that God entrusted us to use for his glory. And everyone has to use their own skills. So stand up, speak up, use your skills, and God will do amazing things to transform America. Come to NRB, see how wonderful this convention is, and how it will change your view and will energize you to do things that God put in your path, and skills and talent that you can use. We need you. God needs you. But if you don't worry. God can find someone else. You are the one losing. So don't lose it. Use your talents.
A wonderful message, all guided by the Holy Spirit, clearly coming through you, Virginia. Once again, and Mr. Troy Miller, thank you to him as well. He's been on the show on a couple of occasions, and we look forward to following and seeing more from later this month in Nashville, Tennessee, NRB's International Media Conference for this Christian movement, this good movement of people coming together to share the love of Jesus Christ. Again, where can we find your book, Saving My Assassin?
Saving My Assassin. This is a book. It's you can find it at virginiaprodanbooks.com. I usually sign the book, and you will have this book signed. So again, virginiaprodanbooks.com. I want to mention to you, I know that Troy Miller has an amazing job. You mentioned that I use my skills and talent, but I know that if Troy Miller will be here, will agree with me. We are grateful for you using your talents and your gifts, and for the grace of God, and giving us an opportunity to express how we use our skills and encourage others to do the same. So we are grateful for you too.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Right back at you, as that's what we like to showcase here on the right side of history, everything that's happening not only within the church, but how it shapes Western civilization as a whole. And you're doing just that. And in the Music City, we will see that in a couple of short weeks. It's Virginia Prodan, once again, an international human rights attorney and author. Get her book. I'm going to myself because I'm a huge fan of those signed books, especially the great people like yourself that I have the opportunity to speak with.
Thank you so very much for having me, and thank you for using your skills for God's glory.
Great interview there by RSBN host Robert McNeely, and you saw Virginia Prodan talking all about her life and what she's been through, but a great story there on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thank you again for joining us here on Right Side. We have a number of news elements to get to, some interviews as well, but also a flashback Friday from 2016 right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Just a shout out to all of you longtime viewers and listeners of the network and those that donate to the network. I think you'll like this 2016. It's just a quick flashback to that day and at a speech in 2016 by President Trump and really what we do here at Right Side, showing the crowds, that kind of thing. So looking forward to playing that in just a little bit from now. In the meantime, All Family Pharmacy, of course, .com/emergency-kits. We have a kit here in studio. This is actually the flu kit that has all sorts of commonly used medications to help manage symptoms quickly, like Tamiflu and ibuprofen, nasal spray, and more. And what really sets All Family Pharmacy apart from the rest is this flexibility. These kits aren't one size fits all. You can actually customize the kit, add medications you want to have available, including antibiotics or ivermectin, depending on your needs. Now, they also offer the sinus infection kit, a travel emergency kit, and other options designed to help families stay ready instead of scrambling. And who doesn't like the word customized, right? You can customize the kit the way you'd like. Who doesn't like the word boutique? It's, in a way, this is an independent pharmacy, a boutique style pharmacy where you're not going to get just run of the mill, this and that. I mean, great service, great people, great company. And it's all about preparation, not panic. So allfamilypharmacy.com/emergency-kits is the place to go. Use that RSBN 20 promo code to get that 20% off. Also, and by the way, I know we're about to go to our next sponsor, but I'm glad it's still up there, the All Family Pharmacy. RSBN 20 promo code for these emergency kits. This isn't something that always happens either. So having that 20% off, definitely get that if you can. allfamilypharmacy.com/emergency-kits and tell them RSBN sent you. All right, it's 2/27 Friday, January 30th. Let's also go to Kalshi.com. You can see right there some information on the board when it's whether you're betting or trading or just checking out polls, all sorts of polls to check out too on there. Kalshi.com/RSBN. You can go to the QR code, download the app, go to the website, 3 ways to get you to Kalshi.com. Also, there's more than 1 million users on this site, and it's growing. A lot of interesting topics as well to check out on that website. So go to Kalshi.com/RSBN or just, again, download that app or go to the QR code. 2 great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's 2:28, pushing the bottom of the hour. In case you missed it yesterday, I interviewed Joyce Simmons, a great American patriot with quite the family connection to the Declaration of Independence. This is America's grandma. She said I could call her that. Take a look.
I'm a 6th generation all the way back to the Declaration of Independence. My 6th great-grandfather was Abraham Clark.
If you're just joining us right now, this is Joyce Simmons, an everyday American out there in California. You can follow her on Truth Social at Rejoicing1. What would you say is what is needed to preserve the Union, to save the country moving forward? I mean, we have President Trump right now, but 2029 is slowly getting here too. So what would you say to America right now?
I'd go back to 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I will heal their land. Matthew, my heart is broken, literally broken, to see even the church turning illiberal to where we need truth again. We're a nation of lies. Even in some of our politics, we just have non-truth. We need to get back to the principles that our nation.
So hello to you, Joyce. Thanks again for joining us yesterday. And if you'd like to follow Joyce on Truth Social, it's at Rejoicing1, great patriot, someone that is a great American Christian patriot. Actually, you know what? Christian American patriot. You know, we say God, family, country, so let's put, you know, our faith ahead of the rest. I mean, if you believe in the Bible, that's definitely the great commandment, to love God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and your neighbor as yourself. So definitely awesome to speak with her yesterday. And if you'd like to check out more of that interview, it's actually posted on our social media platforms as well. All right, let's go to a couple sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, as it's now 2:30 on the dot right now, the bottom of the hour. I believe we have, which sponsor next, Director? Oh, let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, you could use the RSBN promo code as well. All sorts of great products on mypillow.com. Now, if you like coffee, well, a lot of people do. There's My Coffee, there's the My Pillow, there's slippers, there's slides, there's the sheets, there's the mattress and topper sale. All sorts of stuff right there. Great products, quality products. I know a lot of people have My Pillow products at their house. I know I do. My family does, so always good to buy some more. mypillow.com/RSBN. I remember running into Mike a couple years back in Robstown, Texas, and it's a video I've played here on the network, and you could tell that when Mike walks around, everybody's shaking his hand and yelling for Mike, and everybody's saying, I have the sheets, or I have the pillow, and all that, so it's pretty cool stuff. Also, if you'd like to donate to the network, all you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801, or you can go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. All right, 2:31 Friday, January 30th. Let's go to a White House video about the drug overdose deaths that have plummeted under President Trump's watch. And also, we saw that video just yesterday when it comes to the live coverage here at the network. But let's go to a video just kind of summing it all up right now.
Many of those with me today have personally known the heartache of a loved one taken by drug or alcohol addiction. I do. Just like millions of American families, every year we lose an estimated 300,000 people to drug and alcohol abuse, and the real number is probably much, much higher than that. Thankfully, drug overdose deaths plummeted by 21% in the last year. We're working very hard on it. We've closed the southern border, seized over 47 million fentanyl pills and 10,000 pounds of fentanyl powder. That's a record.
So good to see those numbers. You know, as the president says, about 97% drop in drugs crossing through when it comes to the open sea. You know, you see the Navy, the Coast Guard, Customs Border Protection, that 97% drop of any kind of narcotics coming through. We did speak to a number of people in California that were right here on Right Side recently. Kira Davis, who is the host of the Orange Report, so the OC County, Orange County, and also Kate Monroe, the CEO of VetCom. Recently, they both said the same thing, that sometimes these small boats are going north of Point Loma, north of San Diego, and they still get onto the shores there. Then about 10 to 15 criminal illegal aliens run into a van or a SUV, and they drive off, whether they have narcotics or not, or it's just human trafficking or what. But maybe that's some of that percentage that we're looking at, the 3% that's still where it's still coming into our country. So that would have to be an investigation. Anyway, 2:33 Eastern time. Thanks again, 2:34 now. Let's go back to the White House as President Trump was talking about the Trump accounts earlier this week. And then what we'll do is we'll also go to the Department of Justice, where Attorney Todd Blanche discussed a number of topics, including the Epstein files. And then after that, we're going to get to that Flashback Friday. A shout out to all of the RSBN crews that have worked rallies in the past. We'll get to that in a minute. And then to wrap up our coverage a little bit later, we'll be joined by on the phone by Carla Sands with the America First Policy Institute to hear what she's been up to as she continues to work for the country in a way for we the people. So let's do that. Let's go now to the Trump accounts White House video right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Under this administration, we're going to leave every child with real assets and a shot at financial freedom.
I am a mom to my beautiful 9-month-old daughter, Isla, And I am so excited about the Trump accounts creating an investment in the next generation and setting our kids up for their financial futures.
My child will be able to start off with $1,000 and we can build with that money so that when she turns 18, she can have something for college or whatever she would like to do with the money, invest in a home.
We're super excited about the Trump account. As a family with newborn twins, we couldn't be more grateful for all the support President Trump has given to rural families like ours.
Wall Street will no longer be an abstract concept. It will be brought down to Main Street.
With a family as large as ours, having that seed investment is one of the greatest things that could happen for a large family like us dealing with so many expenses.
It supports families. It helps children at an early age understand the concept of money. And because they can't take it out for 18 years, which I love, it lets the market do its thing. For 200 years, the American economy has driven growth successfully. It'll do it for individuals now, so when that child turns 18, they have a nest egg. This is fantastic.
I'm so grateful, and it almost feels like it's Grandpa Trump giving my kid $1,000 to save up to use in a very, very monumental way.
All right, so that video, of course, from the White House pretty recently. Let's go to a few of our sponsors as we move along today on this Friday, January 30th. At the end of the month coming up here. We have one more day left, but hopefully February will be a month of wins throughout our country, including we saw a number of wins, of course, this month as well. But the Super Bowl is coming up for those that care, and then the Winter Olympics as well for those that care. All right, let's go to a couple of our sponsors here. Let's go to Kalshi.com/RSBN if you'd like to use the QR code on your screen, or go download the app, or go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. 3 ways to get to Kalshi. Of course, more than 1 million users on the site now. That number is probably in the 2-3 millions at this point, continuing to grow, and especially on social media as well. A lot of people like to see the different polls that are out there for all sorts of topics, all sorts of what people are betting on or trading on, or just checking out how people are thinking when it comes to a number of topics. So you can check those out if you'd like. Go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's also go to Spring, Texas quickly. Let's look at angelpaste.com. You'll see the flagship product right there on the left side of your screen, the Miracle Cream. There's a number of products on angelpaste.com. So use the RSBN promo code at checkout. If you're looking for skincare, healthcare, all that kind of thing, you get it right there when it comes to angelpaste.com. Great sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, hiring military veterans. Always good to do that. All right, it's 2:38 Friday, January 30th, and a shout out to everyone that may be watching that is, whether this is live or on replay for you, first responders, police, fire, military, everybody. Thank you guys so much for what you do. Also nurses, doctors that are on the right side of history. Thank you so much for what you do as well. And let's just keep winning. You know, let's keep this thing going called freedom in our country forever. Let's also now go to the DOJ, the Department of Justice. Attorney Todd Blanche had about a 35-minute press conference earlier. So what we're going to do is, instead of go to that right this second, we'll go there in a minute. Let's go to Carla Sands, actually, who joins us on the phone right now. She's with the America First Policy Institute, of course, someone that's been on the broadcast before. So, Carla, thank you so much for joining us on Right Side.
Matthew, it's great to be with you. What a day.
Yeah, a lot going on.
We are living in Trump time, Matthew.
Yeah, there's just a lot going on. I mean, speaking of Trump time, the speed of the IndyCar situation, where he signed an executive order today at the Oval Office that there's going to be some sort of IndyCar race to celebrate America 250 as well, right there in Washington, D.C. So just your thoughts about everything that's been happening and things that you've been working on with the America First Policy Institute.
Yes, I'm so excited, Matthew, about America's 250th birthday. I remember the 200th, and I remember the patriotic fervor that just swept the country, and how all young people, wherever they were in their community, in their state, they celebrated at that time 200th and the founding of our amazing country. And it's so important that everyone's children, they are learning about our nation's glorious founding and the fact that it was founded on biblical principles. And I truly believe our country was divinely inspired, and we have really had the blessing of God on our country throughout our history. Look at the prosperity and security that we've enjoyed, but also the fact that we've been able to share that with the world, and that the world's poor their living standards have raised so many billions out of abject poverty and into what they would consider to be prosperity. It's really been remarkable. And I hope every American child gets the opportunity to learn about this at their school. And I know that Secretary of Education Linda McMahon and the White House and America's 250 team are working to share those teaching materials with every school in America.
And you were saying divinely inspired this country. We know that. And you think about presidents like Thomas Jefferson, who, how many things can you say about the guy? He was awesome for the founding of our nation and a Christian patriot. And you know, it's something that we can't forget, you know, to your point, moving forward. I mean, that's really what it's about. It's those common sense issues, isn't it?
It totally is, Matthew. And I feel so blessed. Like, all of us were very upset with 2020, but to have President Trump in the White House for this 250th birthday, because he's such a patriot and loves our country so much and doesn't denigrate it, you know, of course, everyone is a saint and a sinner. We have all fallen and failed, but we're also every day working to be our best selves and to fulfill the pathway that God has created for us, this beautiful, I like to call it being in God's perfect will, that every one of our founders, they were also men of God, and that they were creating this for us, knowing that men are sinners and putting guardrails in place so that we would not become like some of these other countries that we think we share a lot of values with, but you can just see that they are going off track and losing those God-given rights that we actually learned from them about. I will just say, like the UK, you know, where they're censoring free speech, putting people in prison for mean tweets and saying true things about what immigrants have done to their young girls on social media. It's just really shocking. But so we have to fight every generation, just like President Ronald Reagan said. We don't pass this freedom down by our bloodstream. We literally have to fight for it every generation.
Exactly. And to your point, that if you know the truth will set you free. And there's so many, not only through a spiritual truth that is, but in general, if you know what the truth of the matter, it'll set you free. It'll set a country free. It'll set a nation free. And speaking of countries, speaking of nations, I know you travel a whole lot with America First Policy Institute, of course, former ambassador to Denmark under President Trump. Do you have any trips just domestically first, and then any international trips coming up in 26? And what are they all for?
Well, that's a great question. So we are going to do a gathering of conservatives in Poland, in Warsaw. And we're going to do it with other conservative organizations and leaders. And that'll be in this first half of the year. And we're meeting with conservatives in Germany. We can see that Germany, you know, they have a new leader, but they're still struggling with their, I would say, their historic God-given rights as well. I think they've now criminalized criticizing elected officials. And so we're doing that, and then there might be other trips coming up. It's an exciting time because President Trump has given conservatives around the world wind at their backs, because when America does well and conservatives are doing well, it helps everyone. But they really need media outlets like you and like others in the United States. They don't really have that many ways to get their voice out, and sometimes no media will allow conservatives in other countries to even speak about what they believe and about true things. There's a lot of censorship happening. So anything that we can do from the United States to help, the idea of conservatives and what that protects, these God-given rights in the countries that share our values, I think that's really important, as well as sharing prosperity with our friends and allies around the world. And President Trump has really done that through his incredible trade deals that he's done, where he's getting more reciprocal and fair trade, and then he's bringing in trillions of dollars of investment into the United States. And that's why your viewers will have more opportunities to have good paying jobs under President Trump than under probably any former US president. Just two quick examples. The number one increase in salary in 2025, President Trump's first year of his second term, have been blue collar workers, and their wages are up, in some cases, up to 5% and more in 1 year. And these are really great jobs that are going to be long-term jobs. I'm not just talking about, part-time or temporary. I'm talking about these new jobs with the trillions of dollars coming in. There's going to be a lot of construction and then a lot of running of these new businesses with manufacturing, industrial uses, reindustrializing our country, making weapons faster and more, because we are so low in many of our weapons that we have like a 5-year backlog, and we're not even able to send the arms that we promised Taiwan that they've paid for years. We're years backlogged. So we need great, builders and makers. And so this is exciting for every one of your listeners, or for their kids and grandkids, to have these opportunities. President Trump is reindustrializing America, and this is going to last for decades. This isn't just today and tomorrow. To take down trillions of foreign investment, that's a lot to absorb, even for a big economy like the United States.
And it's great to see the other day the Trump accounts as well. So there's just a lot going on. And we know that Carla Sands with the America First Policy Institute understands what's going on. So it's always good to get the insight from you. Thank you again for joining us by the phone this time on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Matthew. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. All right, Carla Sands with the America First Policy Institute joining us live here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's 2:47, Friday, January 30th. Let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. But after the break, we got to go to this Flashback Friday coming up with RSBN back in 2016. We'll go to that. We have a few more news elements to talk about, and then we'll be wrapping the broadcast in just a bit. But let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.
All right, welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's Friday, January 30th. It is 2:49 on the East Coast. Thanks again for joining me. My name is Matthew Alvarez. If you're watching for the first time, if you'd like to follow on Truth Social, it's at Matthew Alvarez. And then on X, it's at Matthew US Media. And of course, you've already found Right Side Broadcasting Network by watching us. You could also follow Right Side on Truth Social at RSBN. On X, it's at RSB Network. Let's go now to a clip of the Department of Justice press conference with attorney Todd Blanche from earlier today. He was speaking about the Epstein files, among other topics as well.
If there's frustration with, quote, the entire process, same here. I mean, you have a situation where for many, many years, nobody even breathed a word about Jeffrey Epstein. And then all of a sudden, it was all anybody would talk about going into the last spring and summer, culminating in the passage of the Transparency Act. And President Trump has said for years what I think everybody will find to be exactly true, which is detailing his relationship and lack thereof with Mr. Epstein and what he thought about Mr. Epstein. And notwithstanding what the department has been saying for a very long time, we're still where we are today. Listen, victims of Mr. Epstein have gone through unspeakable pain, and there's nobody that should say anything differently. And I to the extent that there's frustration, I understand where that comes from, just from what we know about Mr. Epstein. I hope that the work that the men and women within this department have done over the past 2 months hopefully is able to bring closure. I think that what we told our reviewers is that was the goal. You know, there's this mantra out there that, the Department of Justice is supposed to protect Donald J. Trump. And that's what we were telling. That's not true. That was never the case. We are always concerned about the victims. When we said that we were not legally allowed to release documents, that's a fact. That was true. It remains true today. And then with the Act's passage, we are able now and directed to release documents, which is what we are doing. But so hopefully some of those frustrations are now eased. Listen, any victim that wants to speak with the department has done so. Hopefully, if not, they should. The prosecutors from this case in New York have given hundreds, if not thousands, of hours to working with victims, and that's what we do every day, and that's what we did in this case as well.
Okay, so attorney Todd Blanche earlier today at the Department of Justice. That press conference lasted about 35 minutes. You can most likely we'll be uploading that. You can watch it here on Right Side, but also on the DOJ site as well, in case you'd like to watch that in its entirety. Of course, we're wrapping up the broadcast here in just a second. Before we do, we're going to go to the Flashback Friday in just a minute, but let's talk about All Family Pharmacy first. As we know, a lot of flu cases are unfortunately circulating around 2026 and in 2026. And this emergency kit right here will be great to have, especially for those of you that might be stuck in the snow or the cold up there in the Northeast, or actually a number of other states as well. Remember Oklahoma and Missouri in the Midwest. I mean, a lot of places got hit real hard, as you guys know. But with the flu still spreading, having a kit like this at home can make a real difference. The kit includes commonly used medications like Tamiflu, how about ibuprofen, nasal spray, all sorts of medications here. And the kits aren't one size fits all. You have sinus infection kits, travel emergency kits. You can customize them. There's so many different ones to check. And the way you check them out, all you do is go to allfamilypharmacy.com/emergency-kits. Use the RSBN 20 promo code. You'll get that 20% off. And again, this is something that doesn't always happen when it comes to that discount. So 20% off for the emergency kits right now. So you might want to take advantage of that and be prepared instead of panic when someone gets sick and you don't feel like going through the whole list of doctors. Will they give me ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, all the things? Just get your medications through these guys. This is awesome. allfamilypharmacy.com/emergency-kits. All right, it is 2:54 Friday, January 30th. You're looking live, of course, the U.S. Capitol building, and you're looking live at me here in Alabama. My name is Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in. All right, Flashback Friday. Here we go. Shout out to all of the RSBN crews that have worked rallies over the years. This is September 30th, 2016 in Michigan. President Trump is speaking. But here's the thing. A lot of times when we talk about, mainstream media versus conservative media or grassroots companies like this one, this news agency, back in 2015, Joe Seals had that vision. He said, you know what? Nobody is showing the full speech, or if they are, they're not showing the crowd, right? Well, not Right Side. We said we're showing the crowd because this is what's happening. This is the truth of what's going on, and we're not going to hide it. We're not going to censor it like the mainstream media. So let's take a look at this clip from September 30th, 2016 in Michigan.
Like, for instance, look at this massive crowd. They don't show the crowd, folks. I go home, my wife said, oh, were there many people? I say thousands. She goes, really? I didn't see them. I didn't see them. They don't show them. Hey, cameras, why don't you span the room and show the room, cameras? Span the room. They won't do it. They won't do it. They never do it. They never do it. They're dishonest people. Dishonest people. I remember during the primaries when Bernie Sanders was doing well. He made a terrible deal. He sold out to the devil. You know that. And now people don't.
So if you want to watch those kind of videos, obviously go on Rumble, go on YouTube, check out some of the videos from, the blast of the past type videos there, 2016 when President Trump was speaking in Michigan, and you heard that crowd go wild. And we've heard that time and time again throughout this country. I remember one time in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, the president, at the time candidate for president, I think this was in 24, just last year, or in 23. I remember I was working one of the rallies there in Johnstown, and the president said, and where's RSBN? He gave RSBN a shout out. And how about before that in Sarasota, Florida, I believe was one of the other times that the president gave RSBN a shout out. So again, all about we the people. I mean, really, at the end of the day, that's really what this is about. We get to interview you, and just yesterday, if you missed it again, Joyce Simmons out of California, I interviewed her. She's an everyday American. But then I find out that she has family 6 generations ago that her great grandpa was Abraham Clark, a signer of the Declaration of Independence. You never know who you'll run into and who you can talk to right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network and within conservative media. So again, great to see that Flashback Friday. And you know what? Let's do this. We've got 2 minutes until the end of the broadcast. Why don't we end with that video once again? So Director, let's cue that back up. Let's play that Flashback Friday one more time. At the end of the video, we're just going to go to a commercial. We'll be closing out for today. For all of us at Right Side Broadcasting Network, I'm Matthew Alvarez. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday, unless, of course, there's any major breaking news as we cover the news here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So let's go to Flashback Friday to end the day and the broadcast. We'll talk to you later.
Like, for instance, look at this massive crowd. They don't show the crowd, folks. I go home, my wife said, oh, were there many people? I say thousands. She goes, really? I didn't see them. I didn't see them. They don't show them. Hey, cameras, why don't you span the room and show the room, cameras? Span the room. They won't do it. They won't do it. They never do it. They never do it. They're dishonest people. Dishonest people. I remember during the primaries when Bernie Sanders was doing well. He made a terrible deal. He sold out to the devil. You know that. And now people don't
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.